Hello everyone, welcome to GrapplTech. This is episode 3 of our complete free UI UX bootcamp. So here we are going to discuss about Penpot. So what exactly is this Penpot? So Penpot is an replacement for Figma. You can consider it as a replacement for Figma, where you can design and you can develop your prototypes. So this is a versatile open source design and prototyping platform, which is tailored for UI UX designers. And the main thing is it is totally web based and free. So Penpot is completely free, which makes it accessible to a broad range of users. And the main advantages of Penpot are it supports collaboration among team members, allowing designers, developers, and stakeholders to work together seamlessly in real time. So Penpot is a kind of replacement to Figma. Now, let us try to understand the UI of this Penpot. Okay, so the left panel, let us see this. Once if you log in with your credentials, this is going to be the interface of the Penpot where you can find teams in the left corner. You can find the teams. You can search for your projects, or you can search for your design files, and you can create projects, and you can have your own drafts as well. You can have libraries installed. So once if you created a project and if you have the design file, just double click on it so that it opens. Yeah, so this is our design file. Okay, so this is a basic user interface, and this is the most straightforward UI where we can work, where we can create our design files. Okay, and you can even change the theme, so you can switch to dark theme if you want to by selecting dark theme in the preferences. Okay, yeah, so this is, here we'll have some different parts. We almost have three different parts: the left panel and the right panel and the middle canvas, where you'll have a small kind of toolbar in the top. So what about this left panel? So the left panel is where you manage your project's layers and assets. So what do you mean by layers? We'll try to understand it in the next slide. Okay. You can organize and reorder layers, group them, and toggle the visibility as well. So this panel also houses your design assets like images, icons, and components, making it easy to drag and drop elements onto your canvas. That means the left panel, we can see the layers and assets. Assets means you can consider assets as the icons used, the images used in your application, or the other components used in your application. All this comes under assets. Whereas layers are nothing but the individual elements or objects which you use for design. Okay, so each layer can contain a variety of elements like shapes, text, images, or other graphical components as well. So layers are stacked on top of each other, which will make you to manage the visual hierarchy and the organization of design as well. That means, see, this is the middle canvas, right? And in the left side, we have layers. That means if you try to insert a rectangle shape on on your canvas, this can be considered as a particular layer. That means this rectangular object is considered as a layer. And if you want to add a circle, even that is considered as a layer. Even if you add a text telling something, even this is considered as a separate layer. So every object is considered as a layer in Penpot. Okay, so, and these will be stacked on top of one another. So you can even change the direction, like you can reorder them as well. So you can make rectangle to be on the top of the stack. As you can see, the rectangle is on the top and the ellipse is in the backwards. So this is what layers means. So every object which you use in your design file, which you will be using in your design, can be considered as a layer. Okay, so that's about our layers. Then the main advantage of layers are, say, very simple: the organizational structure. So layers help you keep your design organized by grouping related elements together. This makes it easier to manage complex designs with multiple components. And the visibility, you can control the visibility of the layers Like you can show them or you can hide them whenever if it is required. Like for example, we will draw a layer, like we have a rectangle which will be considered as a layer. Okay, here you can see the eye symbol, right? So that is used for visibility. If you click on hide, it will be hidden, so the rectangle shape is hidden. Okay, so you can control the visibility of that particular layer as well. If you want to show, you can just click on the same icon another time, and this will be shown. So that is how you can control the visibility of that particular object. Next, locking. You can lock some of the layers as well. Like if you're trying to modify some designs, so you need some elements to be locked at that particular point itself. You don't want to modify them. So you can even lock them by clicking on this lock symbol. So if you just click on this lock symbol, so even if you try to modify this, no, it doesn't get modified. So you can lock your objects in that way. So every object is a layer. So layers will help you to organize your design files, like design objects. And reordering, as we have discussed previously. So you can reorder the position of the elements, like it will be created as a stack, right? In the stacking order, you can change that order as well. And you can group multiple layers, like you can group multiple elements. So this is a rectangle. So we have one more circle. If I want to group them, okay, see, if I try to move them, they move individually. Or if you want to group them, you can even group them. Okay. So just by selecting those items and giving a right click, you can see this group. Okay. If you click on group and if you try to move, both the objects will be moving. Both the layers will be moving. And even in the left side also you can see that it is telling that this is a group. So, and in the group we have an ellipse and a rectangle. So in this way you can group multiple objects, like multiple layers, and you can resize them combinedly. You can scale them combinedly. Or if you want to work individually, you can just click on right click and you can ungroup them as well. Okay. So that's about our grouping. So if you're trying to create a logo, okay, you will be grouping multiple different objects to create a single logo, right? So that is where grouping will help. And editing, you can individually select an element, like select an layer, and you can edit based on your requirements. So this layers will give you precise control over the appearance and the behavior of every element in your design. So that's about the left panel. So simply what we can say is left panel will consist of layers and assets. Layers are nothing but the objects which we'll be using in our design, and the assets are nothing but the images or other components which we'll be using for our design. And we have something called as pages over here. Okay, like what do you mean by these pages? Simple. So in Penpot, a page is a workspace within a project that allows users, like designers, to organize the work into distinct sections or themes. Like each page can contain multiple artboards and design elements, enabling better management. Simply what we can consider is pages are nothing but, see, you have a design file, you're trying to create your design for web application, and in your company, if you're trying to build an iOS application of the same thing, okay, or if you are a company who is trying to build the same thing across all the devices, like we will have a web application, we will have the same Android application, we will have the same thing as an iOS application as well. So you are having three different versions over here of the same application. So the design also changes. So the design for web desktop sites will be different when compared to Android devices or iOS applications. Okay, so you can have multiple pages. So each page, it will have their own design files. Like this can be considered as the web application, and you can create one more page, and you can just rename it by double click on it, and you can tell that this is for iOS app. So you can create your own design files in separate pages. Simply what we can say is we have multiple screens in an application, or we have multiple pages in an application, right? So in that way, you can even organize your design files as well separately. You don't want to keep all the design files like for web applications, for iOS application, for Android application in the same page. You don't want to do that. You can organize them separately. Or some people will use pages differently. Like in different pages, they will have their components. Okay, like you'll be using the same button component throughout the entire application. So in that case, what you can do is you can store this kind of repeating components in a separate page so that you can go to that page and you can just copy that and you can paste in your design wherever it is required. So that's about our pages. And that's about our left panel of our Penpot. Then what about the middle canvas? So this is a main design workspace. So this is where we create and arrange all our design elements. Like we can draw shapes, we can add text, we can import images and build interactive prototypes. The canvas is highly flexible, which allows us for zooming and panning to focus on specific areas of our design. See, this is where we draw. This is where we design. Okay. So this is the canvas and you can see the measurements in the top, in the left, and you can zoom it and you can zoom out however if you require. So this is the workspace where you'll be creating your designs. Okay. If you want to create a rectangle, you create a rectangle. If you want to create a circle, you'll be creating a circle. If you want to have a text, you can create text, some random text. So everything will be done and you'll be working maximum on this middle workspace. Okay, and you can select all this by dragging this and just click on backspace so that you can delete this elements. Okay, so that's about the middle canvas. And here you can see the top toolbar, right? So the first tool is move tool, where you can move your elements. Like for example, we have a rectangle and I want to move this tool. So I can select this move tool and I can just click on this rectangle and I can move it. Okay, just click on that object and move it. So that's about our modal. And the second thing is boats. So we'll discuss about boats later. So you can create boats of your required size. And the third tool is rectangle tool. By clicking on this tool, you can create rectangles. In the same way we have ellipse. In the same way we have text tool by which you can create some text and you can import some images as well by using this image tool. And we have this pen tool, like you can write in freestyle. Like some people will be creating some designs using this pen tool. And we have this path tool as well. You'll be finding some random shapes on some websites, right? So irregular shapes. So those kind of shapes can be drawn using this path tool. So this is about the designs of the tools of our Penpot. Okay, yeah. So that's how you'll be working with these tools. That's it. Next what we can do is that's about our middle canvas and you can just select them and just click on backspace so that you can delete all the elements which you have inserted in the middle space, in the middle workspace. So that's about our middle canvas. Then what about the right panel? Okay, so the right panel provides detailed properties on settings for the selected elements. See, whatever the element is which you have selected and you have inserted on your canvas, you can find the relevant properties in the right panel, which are related to that particular object. Okay, like simply what we can do is we can adjust the dimensions, colors, shapes, and the typographies, alignments, and other styling options. So this panel also includes advanced settings, which we'll be learning in the coming sessions, like prototypes, all these things. So see, let us have a rectangle and you can see that right panel changed according to that rectangle. Okay, you can see the width. So W stands for width, H stands for height, X and Y for the positions, that is the coordinates, and this is the rotation. You can rotate by an angle. See this rectangle, right? I can rotate it by a 30 degrees angle. And this is about the corner radius. That means you can have these edges, these sharp edges of a rectangle, right? You can make them blunt also. Like for example, if we give a value of 20, you can see that the edges got curved. So in this way, you can create curved edges as well. So if you click on that particular object, you will have that particular settings or the properties for that particular object selected. So it differs accordingly. Here, these are the properties which are related to rectangle. Suppose if you have a text object, okay, if you have a text layer on your canvas, so this is a text layer which is telling hello, right? So you can see the right panel changed accordingly. So you can see the font families and you can select any one of the family from it. You can see the font size, font weight, and these are the line spacing, all these things, capitalize. We have tons of tools which will be clearly learning in the coming sessions. So what we can say is simply you can have multiple properties which are related to a particular object selected on the canvas in the right panel. So simply right panel is nothing but where you can find the properties of the object selected. Okay, you can even change the color of this. You can select any color. So that's about the fill. So if you click on the canvas, you can see that we have a single property that is the background. So you can change the color of the background. Just by clicking on this, you can select a random color so that the canvas color gets changed. Okay, so that's how it is done. This is about the UI of a Penpot. And in the top, you can see that this is for zooming and this is for commenting. When you're working in a collaboration, you can comment this out. And if you have your designs done, and if you want to see how they work, you can create prototypes and you can you can click on this view mode so that you can see how exactly your design is looking. Okay, it will open a new window which we'll be learning in the coming sessions. So that's about the UI of a Penpot. Okay, here in the top also we have file, which is very common in many applications. You can export this particular objects or not, and you can export the whole file as .penpot extension. And we have edit, how to select all these things, and we have view, which we'll be learning in the coming sessions, and we have preferences where you can change from light theme to dark theme, and we have some ruler guidelines like how we can disable these options or not. Maximum will not be working with this. Okay, so this is sufficient. So simply Penpot, we have left panel, right panel, and the middle canvas. In the left panel, we have layers and assets, and the layers are nothing but the object selected in the canvas. And in the middle workspace is we can work on our design first. We can create our designs in the middle workspace. So this is the canvas. And the right panel is nothing but where we can find the particular related settings for the object selected. Okay, so that is what you have to remember. So that's about our UI of our Penpot. So I hope you like this video. And don't worry if still you haven't understood. We'll be practicing tons of design files in the coming sessions. So you'll get used to it. Okay. So if you like the video, please do subscribe to our channel and thanks for watching.